This is Beyond the Resume, the podcast that brings you the stories, advice, and insights behind some of the most successful people in real estate. Beyond the Resume is brought to you by Jackson Lucas Executive Search, the industry leader in human capital solutions. Here is Chris Papa and Lisa Flicker.
All right, Laura.
Yes.
Fanucchi.
Correct. It's Fanucchi.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's great. Thank you.
How are you? How are you doing today?
I'm great. After we finish, I'm headed off to Napa for a night with a friend to celebrate my birthday. And we're going to see, it's not today, but we're going to see Sean Cassidy, who was our teen idol when we were teens.
Oh.
So we're very excited.
That sounds very exciting. I hope it's not disappointing. You're like, wait, how did we get?
I think it's going to be an interesting show. It's going to be more of a show, not like a concert. But
where's he playing?
I don't know. It's all a surprise. It's all a mystery. I haven't looked into anything.
Maybe he's going to be a personal
Downtown Napa.
person. Maybe they hired him to come to your wherever you're staying, hang out, have dinner with you guys. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
So you are the director of programs at Hip Housing, because you're very hip.
Yes. We're very hip. We're all hip here. Yes.
Can you tell the world about Hip Housing?
So Hip Housing is a nonprofit affordable housing organization. We're in San Mateo County, California, kind of in the heart of, yes, you are, and the heart of Silicon Valley. So we've been in the community now for over 50 years. We have 4 social service programs, and we also own and manage affordable housing throughout San Mateo County. So we have about 500 units of affordable housing, mostly like studio 1-bedrooms and a few 2-bedroom units. And we have a new development project in the works in one of our local cities in San Carlos.
Is it the one that's down the street from you on Cherry?
It is. That's it. Yes. Yes.
We had Andrea Osgood from Eden.
Right. Yeah, they're our construction partner. Right. So we owned a 7-unit apartment complex on Cherry Street for decades. And the city really redeveloped that whole corridor is down at there as part of their downtown project. And so we've been, working with the city and trying to get that project off the ground. So it finally got off the ground in 2025, and hopefully it'll be finished towards the end of 2026. So it's going to be 33 units of 100% affordable housing.
What's the AMI there?
I don't know the AMIs for the particular units. I do know that there's going to be, for the first time ever in our portfolio, there's going to be 3-bedroom units because, we do find a lot of, larger size families that we can't necessarily place, in our programs or in our other properties. But I think it'll be a mix of 30, 50, 80, maybe 120, but I'm not entirely sure about the range of AMIs. So
It's interesting. I would imagine with the larger amounts of bedrooms, sometimes you probably get like multi-generations living in an apartment.
Could
right?
be. Yeah, it definitely could be. Yeah, we definitely see a lot of that. I too have experienced that in terms of like caregiving for my dad. So I know what it's like to live with family. But yeah, it's definitely, it's hard to live here in the Bay Area. And so families, they try to make it work in whatever aspect they can. And so, it's possible we may see some multi-generational households applying to the properties.
And how do you, like with that, you said one of these mostly studios you guys have?
We have studio and 1-bedrooms. We have a few 2-bedroom units. We also own 4 houses, and those houses are specifically for our self-sufficiency program, which provides housing and coaching and wraparound services to low-income families with dependent children where the adult is enrolled in school or a vocational program. Yeah, so we have some houses, but mostly our apartment units are mostly like studios and 1-bedrooms.
How did you get here? When you were in college, were you thinking I'm going to be in housing? Like, how'd you get here?
Because you've been at HIP for a long time, right?
I have been at HIP for a long time. It's really been my home for most of my adult career. When I was in college, I studied psychology in college. I thought I wanted to be a therapist, and actually got into grad school. I'm like, I'm like 22 years old. I don't have a life experience, I think, to be a therapist. So, I just started my nonprofit career at Big Brothers Big Sisters. They had a chapter here in our community, and I worked as a social worker and developed an outreach program with Stanford University to work with low-income youth in one of our communities. And when I was there, I was working with a single mom with 3 children. She had left a domestic violence situation and was housing insecure. And I contacted HIP Housing for resources for her. Like a year later, my position with Big Brothers ended because the chapter folded with another chapter, and HIP Housing had a job opening. So I thought this is kind of serendipitous. So I started my career with HIP Housing almost 33 years ago, and started as a home sharing coordinator with our home sharing program. Just kind of grew, with the organization, and now I oversee all 4 of our social service programs.
So let's start. Like what do you do like day to day? Like what do you do like a social service and resident services, social services? Like what do you actually do?
Yeah, so we have our 4 programs. So home sharing program, one of the largest programs in the country where we match people who have housing with people looking for housing. And then our
So like
self-sufficiency
somebody has a
program.
house and they're looking to rent a room out or something?
Right, yeah, rent a room out, or if they have an accessory dwelling unit. So accessory dwelling units are, a great solution for our community because it helps to increase the supply of housing. So either a bedroom or an accessory dwelling unit. And then our self-sufficiency program for families with children. We have a new program, our housing readiness program, where we counsel low-income older adults who are housing insecure on helping them understand what they're eligible for, and then actually helping them apply for housing. And then our 4th program is our housing resource hub, where we produce materials that help to provide housing resources to anybody who contacts our organization. So my role is to oversee those 4 programs in addition to all of our volunteers and interns and the marketing for the programs. So I spend my day every day is different, which is great. I think that's why, I'm so engaged with this organization, because every day just brings like new activities, new challenges, and it's really wonderful.
When you started, were you like when you first started in the WIS world? Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of folks who come out of maybe like teaching, social services, they kind of get into the housing, not world on the services side. Like, did you even know that existed? Like, did you? It seems like a pretty cool career that maybe a
Mhm.
lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it really existed. And then the right, I mean, here at Hip Housing, we always try to build our like staff capacity in a way that there's trajectory, in different positions with the organization. So when I started, as a caseworker, I never really thought, okay, well, I'm going to end up in a director position. I just thought I would be doing casework, but you know, as I grew with the organization, the opportunities just became available to really first direct the home sharing program and all the activities with that, and then it just kept kind of growing, with the different levels of the program. So it's been a great journey for me, and I'm super proud of this organization. And we have a lot of longevity on our team, on our staff. We have staff that have been here longer than I have, which is pretty
No
amazing.
way.
And
Wait,
Impossible.
what you must have so much going on. Are there any, like, main things that you're trying to solve right now?
mhm.
I know it's a big question.
Yeah, it's a huge question. I mean, the housing crisis in our county is obviously very dire. There's not enough housing to meet the demands, and we're getting ready to do our 2026 homeless one night homeless count. So it'll be interesting to see, the statistics there. But I think for me, the demographic that I am always most concerned about are our older adults. Seniors are the fastest growing demographic of individuals experiencing homelessness for the first time, and, without enough subsidized housing in our communities, seniors living on fixed incomes don't have a lot of options. And they also don't want to go into shelters. They're worried about living in congregate living, and for a variety of reasons. So, I think that that's why we started our housing readiness program, because we find that a lot of older adults have been in stable housing for a really long time, and then suddenly something happens and they're plunged into a housing market that's very challenging to navigate. And so our role is to help them navigate that and do it from a really trauma informed lens. Um, I would love to, and we have opportunities to provide scholarships to seniors to help subsidize their housing for those who are exiting the shelters. So we're trying to really make an impact on helping our older demographic population really support their housing needs.
Interesting. Must be with people aging the way they are.
Hmm.
I can imagine there's a large amount of people who are headed that way.
Right. And
Sad to
there's also
yeah.
an epidemic of loneliness, just feeling not connected to your community, not connected to family or support systems. And so oftentimes, folks come to HIP housing for the first time. We're the first organization that has touched their lives. And so we want to be able to kind of provide the resources in a trauma informed way and really help them feel that they're not alone in their journey.
How do you determine what resources you need to provide?
Well, I mean, clients contact our organization. We do like a little intake with them. We determine like which program they're going to go into. And specifically for our seniors, we're wanting to understand, are they already connected to our county's subsidized housing portal?
Yeah, how do
Actually,
you get how
really,
do you get yeah, how do you get a place at a hip housing? How do you even end up
how do you get a place?
how do you get how do you live in a hip place?
What's the how-to?
The how to. I mean, it depends on the program, honestly, so, because we have 4 programs, I mean, 3 of them provide housing and then our properties. So, folks can apply online to our properties. They go to hiphousing.org to do that, and they're notified when there's a vacancy, and then our property team processes their app. For home sharing, it's very different because folks have to interview each other, the home provider and the home seeker. They have to determine if it's a compatible relationship and it meets the needs of both parties. And then for our self-sufficiency program, families have to apply and get accepted to the program. And they either live in one of our 4 houses or we give them a scholarship to find their own housing. And then our housing readiness clients get housed if we can provide them with the housing scholarship or if they find housing through our efforts of helping them locate housing.
And you've been there a long time, as we said. Like what have you seen as like the biggest changes over the last 30 years?
Well, our home sharing program was started in 1979 by our fantastic former executive director who passed
Yeah,
away
who
last
founded
year.
HIP? Is it Myth Johnny Hip? Is it really Johnny Hip?
A group of individuals founded HIP, and it really started as kind of a broad-based social service program. But in 1979, we got our grant to start the home sharing program, and that's when the agency's trajectory started to focus more on housing. So, back then, when I started early in my career, not 1979, but back in the 90s, home sharing was really, our program was really the only way that people found housing. There wasn't a Craigslist, there wasn't a Nextdoor, there wasn't a Facebook, renters market. There weren't those online technologies, to really help people locate housing. So, have seen a shift in the way that the program was structured then. When I started, we were matching like 700 people a year in home sharing. As technology takes over, there's a variety of ways that people can find housemates. And so, there's a little bit of competition that way. But our program is pretty unique in that, we serve like over 60% are older adults. And so we're very hands-on and have a very hands-on approach. So I've seen a little bit of change in that. And obviously the rents in our community have astronomically increased, and the challenges of being able to afford housing and keeping your housing costs at no more than 30% of your income is hard here in our community now. People spend sometimes 50, 60% of their income on housing, if not more.
How many people work at HIP?
We have about 45 people, and we have probably a good 30 volunteers, and we have a couple great interns, and the agency has really grown ever since I started. I think we had 7 people on staff.
What if people volunteer? What do they do when they volunteer?
Well, they help us with community outreach. So they attend like events, they help us do like flyering, they help make calls to clients to check in with them. We have properties where we have food distributions, where we have a farmer's market, and so they help with that. So they can help in a variety of ways. And we have young, high school students also who are tutoring kids in our self-sufficiency program. So there's a lot of opportunities
Anyone
for
from
folks to
Caramont
volunteer.
High School?
I'm sure there has been. Yes. Did you go there?
No, my son goes there. I got to get him
He goes
involved.
there. Okay. Yeah. Great high school. Yeah.
It'd be a great job for him.
Yeah. Have him fill out a volunteer application for him, and I'll interview him.
Force him to do it.
That's right. It'll be a great summer for him.
Did you grow up in the Bay Area?
I did. I grew up in San Mateo County.
How did you, so you, like, getting into this world, you have to have a sort of a special type of compassion, right? Like, where did that, a lot of people don't have that, unfortunately. Like, kind of, where
Yeah.
did that come from? How is that, what's
Mhm.
the right word, fostered, or,
When, to be honest, my parents divorced when I was, probably in middle school. And that was in my
Mine too.
community. And that at that time and in my community, that was sort of taboo. It just wasn't heard of. And so I felt, kind of different than my peers and trying to navigate that. My mom is also from the Midwest. And so, she always like had this sort of compassion mindset and helping others. And so I think that that's where I really kind of got the urge to like help others and especially those who might feel different or might feel insecure. Or just I think that that's where that mindset really happened.
And do you get that feeling from your job? Like at the end of the day,
Hmm.
you know,
Oh
you
yeah,
feel
I do because finding housing in this community is so challenging, and when folks are so appreciative of being able to be housed and be secured in housing or understand their housing options, it just makes you feel like, yeah, we really are making a difference in the community when we can say, like, in a given year, we provide housing to over 700 people. That feels great. Of course, there's much more that we can do, but it does feel good when we're able to at the end of the day, yeah.
So you find a satisfaction in your job, bigger picture satisfaction.
I do, and, our staff is amazing. Our greatest resource is our staff, and, we all work super hard. We all have the same we're very mission driven, and, we all have the best interests of our staff and our clients in mind at all times, and so, being here is hard work, but, we have fun. We have a fun committee. We do a lot of things with our staff.
I love a fun committee.
Yeah, a fun committee is fantastic. So we really pay attention to the needs of our staff, and I'm happy to be part of those conversations to really, make that happen. I'm part of our executive leadership team, and so we work really hard to make sure that our staff is supported and, that our staff feel that this is a great place to work.
It must be emotionally trying though sometimes when you're working with different families and it's just not working out, or they can't get into housing, and it's not easy to get into housing.
Right.
They don't make it easy, right? And so, like, how do you? I'm sure there's a lot of burnout from people. Like, how do you kind of work with that
Mhm.
for yourself?
We have a 5-year trauma-informed strategic plan. And, we kind of launched into this trauma-informed work a couple of years ago with our self-sufficiency program team. And we decided we couldn't have just one team be siloed. So we took it agency-wide, and we had, like a trauma trainer that really helped to inform our staff about how to take care of ourselves. I mean, that's the number
Hmm.
one priority. If you don't take care of yourself, then you're going to be affected by the secondary trauma of what folks are telling you every single day. So that's why we really pay attention to our team, and ensuring that they have the resources and they have the environment here, not only the physical environment, but then the support from our staff of really how to take care of themselves. And so, I'm not going to say that we don't have staff that feel burnout, but we always are taking a look at how to support them in a way that they're not having to keep that burden, by themselves.
Yeah. Well, here's something that your training would not advise, and Matt is sitting down on the hot seat.
Okay.
All your triggers are, no, don't do it. You have
Don't
to.
do it. Don't do it.
That's okay. I'm sure it's fine.
You've handled much more than this. I think you could do it. So, are you reading any interesting books, or do you have any podcast recommendations?
Yeah, we actually have a book club at Hip Housing. That's part of our
Hey, I want a
informed
book club.
plan. So
You need a
yes,
book club?
so
That's
yes,
great.
I know. So we are reading a book called No One Left Alone. It's by Liz Walker, and she is a pastor in Massachusetts who, in an area where there were a lot of tragic murders of young Black men, and so one particularly stood out for her. So she started a support group called Can We Talk? And it really just kind of talks about how community helps to heal collectively and provide support, to individuals that are experiencing grief and loneliness. So it's a very interesting book, and our self-sufficiency program team is reading it, and so um, it helps us to really understand the importance of community and helping our clients in that path as well.
But yeah, that's great. Related to work.
Mhm.
I wonder what book we would pick, Lisa, for our book club.
I don't know. I'll have to give it some thought. Maybe we
Give it
need
some
to
thought.
read that book.
Now you're a busy woman. You're going to see Sean Cassidy. You have this job you've been doing for 33 years. What do you do on like a day-to-day basis to kind of keep yourself
Yes.
grounded?
I play a lot of tennis.
Wait a
Yes,
minute,
we
you're a
heard
tennis
this in
player?
tennis we talked about.
Yes, I play a lot of tennis. So
Are you on a team?
I'm on 4 teams, I think, this
Wow.
season. Yeah. So yeah, we play a lot of tennis, do a lot of yoga, running. I just, you have to just like get it all out, just trying to get out all the
Yeah.
stress of life and just keeping healthy and balanced.
I want to do more yoga. That's in my 2026 goals.
Awesome. It's great.
It is great. It is
Yeah.
great. I do a fair amount of yoga. I feel like, and sometimes it's just like, it's not like formal yoga, but it's just like rolling out my mat and getting into a quiet place. And I
Mhm.
find
Mhm.
it is a very helpful
Right.
technique.
Yes.
So, it's interesting that you mentioned that there are people who have been there for more than 30 years that you've been there, which is kind
Mhm.
of hard to imagine. What do you do to not only to attract talent, but to retain talent? Because I imagine you don't have the luxury of throwing money at them.
Mhm, mhm. Right. Well, we do take a look at that. We have, to attract talent, we have a kind of a very formal process of recruiting. And so that's really been very stabilized over the last couple of years as our agency grew. So that's been really helpful in terms of the recruitment of talent to our organization. But retaining staff, starts with leadership. And so, our leadership team meets weekly to, talk about agency matters, talk about staff matters, talk about our trauma informed strategic plan, and really, and taking a look at salary structure, taking a look at like title changes, taking a look at, the structure within each department to really help to let staff know that, they can grow here. We can provide training. We have, want to send staff to our trainings and everything. So it's really a place where I think staff can feel supported, that, our executive leadership team has their back, and that we, are taking a look at their career path and how we can help make that happen.
Yeah, I think 30, that's pretty amazing to have people there that long. Now, you mentioned your mother.
Mhm.
What other mentors would you like to give a shout out to?
Mhm. My dad was a big mentor to me, especially, I've had a lot of like caregiving roles in my life. My husband had cancer at a young age. My Had to take care of both of my parents towards the end of their lives. And, my when my husband was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 46, and it was a little bit of a shock because we had a young child. My dad said to me, Laura, if you fall apart, the whole operation falls apart. So,
Wow, no pressure.
Right.
Jesus.
but it sticks with me, and it has stuck with me for the last, 15 years since then. And yeah, it's a little pressure filled, but it's also a testament that, you think about your own life and you are stronger than you know. So I keep, as staff here at HIP Housing are also facing like caregiving responsibilities and being in a sandwich generation and in a variety of ways, I kind of let them know that they are not alone in their journey, and that they're stronger than they think they may be. So he was a good mentor in that aspect.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Laura Fanucchi, you're a very hip woman. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Great to meet you both.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Resume, a Jackson Lucas podcast where we take a deep dive into the career journeys of some of the top minds in real estate and equip you with the knowledge to move forward in your path towards the success you've envisioned. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Beyond the Resume. We're grateful for your support. All episodes of Beyond the Resume are brought to you by Jackson Lucas, building inclusive and diverse businesses through talent acquisition. Visit us at jacksonlucas.com.